Welcome everybody, and where's the host and hostess? Are they around? They're probably putting children to bed. So just a big thank you to Paul and Danielle, and who have opened their home. Yeah. Thank you, Paul and Danielle. Thank you for opening your home and your hearts. They heard. Good. And welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. We've got some more chairs if anyone needs. So first of all, we're going to move on. Just everybody. So the shiz it's called for. That's good. We're on. Unofficial time was 8:30 kickoff. So I didn't tell you guys that, but that was the plan. Things. Hope you've eaten enough. There's more than dessert after. The plan is that Aryeh Sampson is going to speak now for about an hour, and then there's dessert afterwards, and during dessert there'll be time for questions as well. I'll leave you over to the speaker, but let me introduce my old friend. Can I call you an old friend? We know each other a long. We know each other a long time.
Many years.
We know each other a long time.
We're not that old.
No, exactly. With different hats on in different situations, and it's great to finally working together again. So thank you, Aryeh, for giving your time. Aryeh's a psychotherapist, and maybe you can tell a little bit more about yourself. But it's one of his special achievements is his book is written "Go to Yourself: Transformation Through Jewish Wisdom and Psychology," which they're available as a book, so you can get your own autographed copy. Yeah, they're still quite warm actually from the press. You get your own copy, so definitely worthwhile reading. I've looked through it and myself, very inspiring. And with no further ado, to introduce you to Reb Aryeh.
I'd also like to thank Rav Reuven for inviting me here. It's really an honor to be here. A lot of familiar faces. I always think, when I come back from shul, I always tell my wife, that, I don't know them, but they look like somebody I know. Do you ever get that feeling? It's just the same beard, but it's a different, So I feel many people I do know here, and new friends. So I'd just also like to thank the Bernadette family for opening up their house. It's a wonderful thing. Okay, so tonight's topic is communication, a key or the key to love and connection. And when I was thinking about this, I recalled a certain song. Now, I don't want to date myself too much. I know we said we're old friends. We're not that old, yeah? We're still with it. Yeah? And but there's a song that my father used to play piano when I was growing up. And me and my brother, who became a rabbi, we used to sing this song. My father liked jazz, and he liked Nat King Cole. I don't know if you've ever heard of Nat King Cole, but he was, and there was a song which I loved, and it had a certain line, it was called Nature Boy. I think somebody else brought it out in the 70s, and in this song, there was a phrase which just stuck with me, and it came back to me, actually, as when I was preparing this. And in the song, it talks about this natural boy who goes traveling, and he speaks to a king about wisdom. And the phrase goes, as we spoke of fools and kings, this he said to me, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is to love and be loved in return. One of the most precious things we can learn, and it stuck with me, and I sort of, for many years, to love somebody and be loved in return is precious. And unfortunately, our generation, we see that the Mishnah, the rabbis tell us before the coming of the Mashiach, this is going to be an issue. Shalom bias, issues of close relationships is going to be an issue which will be a struggle for many people. And it's something which is universal. As Rav Reuven said, I work as a psychotherapist, and one of the things I do, in fact, my ears are still ringing from a couple I saw this morning. But I work with couples, and in terms of creating good relationships. I'd like to just what I'd like to share tonight is some ideas which I believe are transformational, which can change a person's life, ideas that I work with day in and day out, both theoretical and practical. We're going to do a bit of interactive stuff. No one has to do anything. It's not going to be embarrassing. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you don't have to do it. But I've done it's all over the world. It's nothing too trying. So before I go into the sort of nitty gritty of sort of the ideas, I'd like to just give a little introduction to my relationship to these ideas a bit more. I worked, as many of you knew, in outreach work for AISH for many years, about 10 years. That's how I know of Reuven. And one of my first talks I ever gave was when I was training was on love. And I took all the ideas that I'd known and I presented them, and I still feel the joy of giving that talk. And I work with young professionals, did a lot of talks on love and relationships. About 10 years ago, a little bit more than 10 years ago, I changed my career and I went into counselling psychotherapy. I went to Regent's College, did an MA in psychotherapy, and there I was hit by many different psychological approaches which really attempt to do the same things that we're trying to do in Torah, in some ways, on a simple level, make people happy, but deal with the deeper issues of life. And I had a kind of a struggle, because on the one hand, I had my Torah ideas, and on the other hand, I had 16 different or 700 different theories. How could I bring them together and integrate them? So I sort of struggled with it for a while and understood this theory and that theory. But I came to a certain teaching of Rav Yisrael Salanta that helped me to bring it together. And Rav Yisrael Salanta, the person who developed the Mussar movement, said that all self-development you can categorize in 3 stages. If you want to grow, there's 3 stages. The first is you've got to get self-awareness. You've got to understand yourself. And also on a subconscious level, you've got to understand your subconscious motivations. Step 1. Step 2 is you've got to gain control of your self-destructive drives. And step 3, you've got to transform them. You transform them by different processes. What I did was I used that methodology, and there's a lot more, but it's not really our topic, to bring together both Torah and psychotherapy, different approaches, because I saw these approaches were very practical and very powerful, and they were dealing with people day in, day out. And I wrote this book, Go to Yourself, where I went through a number of different topics: anger, anxiety, depression, relationships, jealousy, a whole gamut, and to bringing them together. Tonight, I would like to focus on bringing together Torah and psychotherapy in the relationship to marriage, relationships, communication. So if we look at from a Torah point of view, and I know that there's been many talks here, and I hope that my talk will be a different angle. I think it will, but I know that it's not the first talk you've had on this subject. One of the most, I went to Aish Torah, and my Rosh Hashiva, Zichron Livrocha, was Rabbi Noach Weinberg. And he defined love. I don't know if you've had other teachers over here, but it's worth. I heard him say this literally thousands of times. Yeah, so I can repeat it myself if you heard it. What is the definition of love? He would say. He said we in Judaism have a definition of love. He said, what is love? Love is appreciating another person and identifying them with their virtues. So you see, a person has a child. We've got a few children out there. You know, why do you love children? Why do we love our children? Hopefully we still do. It's because we identify them with their qualities. Even if a person has a child who's a hypochondriac, yeah, and the person goes, the teacher goes, your son's a hypochondriac, and they say, well, it's true he's a hypochondriac, but he was ill when he was young, and we overlook it. He's not getting enough sleep, and there's boys in his class who aren't being very nice. But isn't he a warm, friendly, generous guy? So we identify people we love with their virtues. When we hate people or dislike them, they may have the same virtues. We identify them with their faults. Yeah, that person's obnoxious and self-centered. So the same person can be loved and hated by the same people, but just the focus. Infatuation, just to put a little bit more, infatuation is when you love the person for what they don't have. So you think they're great, you think they're wonderful, but then you discover later on that you project, in psychological terms, positive qualities onto them they don't have. So when you get to know them, you suddenly see that these aren't there. And I remember I'll just add this in, it just comes to me. Rav Simcha Wasserman, Zichron Livrocha, a great rabbi of a generation, he said, Why does God create infatuation? No one will get married if we weren't a little bit blind. We wouldn't do it. So that's what he said, yeah? But over here, I'm sure everyone here didn't need that, yeah? But that's what he used to say. So, again, so the Torah says, loving people, very simple. See their virtues, you'll love them. How do we do that? Rav Dessler explains when we give to a person, then it leads to love. The more we give, the more we see the beauty within them. Again, this is sort of standard stuff. You've probably heard these ideas before, nothing new, yeah? Hopefully. If not, there's a great stuff, and Rav Dessler goes into this in an amazing way. Again, I'm sure you've heard Rabbi Tatz say, actually we're going to leave that for a little bit later. Okay. Now, Rav Simcha Wasserman also said, life is simple. These ideas are very simple, but people are complicated. In other words, we can have all the right ideas in the world, but when it comes down to it, it's not so simple. And that's because of us. That's because we can say, yes, I love you, I want to give to you. That's all we have to do is we can stop this talk now and say, you know what, I'll just give to you, you give to me, we'll love each other, we'll have the closest relationship. But things are a little bit more complicated. So I'd like to now go into the psychotherapy part. And I'd like to just preface it with that the Judaism teaches us that there's chokhmah amongst the goyim, that it recognizes, the Torah recognizes that there are techniques and approaches out there that are not necessarily Jewish, but can be used to help us improve our lives. Within a framework of Torah, these can be very powerful. When they come an end in itself without Torah, then they can be potentially destructive. So, what I like to share, and this is you don't have to believe this, but it makes a lot of sense to me, is an approach called imago therapy. I've got a book. I'm not actually selling this book. I would highly recommend this book for anybody. You can get it on Amazon, Making Marriage Simple. I'm going to talk about a few ideas from this book tonight. There's a lot more. People come on seminars on this for 2-day seminars. They go away, they pay hundreds of pounds, whatever. But over here, I think we're going to leave it. We're going to make it just a donation, right? Okay. So what happens over here is that you may be asking, why did you marry the person you married? Yeah. This is a question that now. Why are we attracted to the person psychologically that we marry? So I'd like to suggest a reason, yeah? And it's nothing to do with money, yeah? It's to do with the subconscious. I'd like to suggest, and this is a theory, you can take it or leave it, you can think about it, but the theory goes like this. We are brought up with parents, which in psychotherapy we can call primary caretakers, people who brought us up, family, and we become familiar with certain traits that are within the home. Subconsciously, we connect with those traits. Then we go out into the world, and we see this other person on the other side of the room. Suddenly, our Geiger counter goes off. Hold on, there's something interesting about this person. Or, with my wife, within 10, I got married a little bit late in life, and I met on shidduchim hundreds of people all over the world. I traveled all over the world. I went to America. Within 10 minutes of meeting my wife, I already had heartburn. Because I knew it was serious. I was with a restaurant in New York, my favorite dessert. If everyone's been there, it's closed down, unfortunately, but it's a great place if you've been. And I ordered some milk, and within 10 minutes, I knew that this was very serious. I was flying out the next day. And thank God, it worked out, and she came to live here. We'll leave that. If anyone wants more of the story, I'm available for the rest another time. But there was a sense that a connection straight away. Sometimes it's fireworks, it's not. But I'd like to suggest there's certain traits that are similar, doesn't have to exactly, that we are familiar with, and when we see that person, we connect to it. It could be intelligence, it could be warmth, it could be honesty, but there's something there. And I've heard shadchanim say they always look for somebody when they meet the family. Who's the person like? And I remember one saying, it wasn't this person who set up. Suddenly the grandmother came out, and the grandmother was just like the wife who the person was marrying. Okay, that's the theory. Anyway, now if you want to go into this more, there's a whole exercise we can do. It's not for now, but we can. There's an exercise where we look at what were the traits that you grew up which you like best, and then we look at the traits that you have in your wife or your husband, and we see, is there any connection? Okay, so that's it. That's a suggestion why we marry, because we have a connection. But deeper than that, we feel that they're going to be able to fulfill our inner love. They're going to be able to give us what we had and make up for what we didn't have. So we're coming in with a feeling like, all my life I've waited for this love, yeah? And this person's going to give it to me. Now, it's not necessarily conscious, but it's at a subconscious level, we come in with this sort of attitude. They are... Now, what happens? In general, there's a honeymoon period. There's a period where it's just the two of you together, and then we kind of hit real life, yeah? Well, after the Sheva Brachas or whatever it is, yeah, that we hit the strains of life, whether it is financial strains, children. I once heard somebody say children are very bad for marriage. That was a good line, yeah. But somehow, I don't take that seriously. Please, please, if you just tuned in, I didn't mean that seriously. Keep your children. Don't get rid of your children, yeah. Don't sell them off. But there's a lot of strain, yeah, and there's a lot of nitty-gritty of changing nappies and dealing with in-laws and all kinds of things. And what happens is that suddenly the positive traits that were there, which are still there, often we see the other side of the person. What we could say, the darker side, what comes out under the strain. Now, it's actually interesting. Sometimes the positivity, what you're attracted to, actually comes negativity. I heard recently, the person said, this person has so much energy. It was so dynamic, this person was. I was so attracted. And then at home, it's like they've got, it doesn't sit still for a second. It doesn't forgets everything, So often the positive trait comes the negative trait, yeah? But I don't want to scare anyone here. Yeah, because everyone's married to the right person, yeah, and everyone's going to come out happy. I don't want to, yeah. So I don't want to reassure everyone here, because I know I just want to address the potential issues, yeah, and we're going to come up with solutions. And so, what happens is that these suddenly, what happens is the negative traits come out, which we all have, because it's not lovey-dovey anymore. It's more. There's going to be, strain and effort, what have you. And what can occur, and this is slightly deeper, and again, this is not Torah, so you don't have to accept it, doesn't have to be true for everybody. But what I see time and time again in my work is that people suddenly feel that the negative traits that they were trying to get away from are there. I'll give an example, yeah? A person who had... just say a critical mother, yeah? This is maybe a case, I'm bringing, again, all my cases are totally confidential, and I'm just bringing sort of examples which come to mind. Just say you have a person who has a critical mother, yeah? No Jewish boy has critical mothers, of course, yeah? But you have a person who has a critical mother or a critical father. So what do they look for? They look for a person who's not going to criticize them. Make sense? Yeah, so they might meet this person who adores them. They're the God adore. They're the tzedekahs of the generation. They are loved, appreciated. The list of virtues are, I remember, 50, hundreds of virtues. What happens after that? Slowly, the relationship, develops, and and then they get into. Suddenly, the wife starts coming critical of the husband. More critical and more critical. And suddenly the husband wakes up in a cold sweat and goes, I married the wrong woman. she's just like my mum. Or it can be vice versa. You know, she's just like my dad. I'll give an example of two. And this is, I bring this in my book. And this, just say, and we'll go a little bit deeper psychologically. Just say you have a woman who was basically ignored by her father. Just say he was never around. Yeah. Just say you have a man who was criticised by his mother. They marry, they love each other, they're getting all that love which they thought they always wanted, yeah? It's all hunky-dory. Then what happens is, I hope these aren't names here, I want to embarrass them. Let's call them some names, John and Sarah, am I safe to hold these? No Johns and Sarahs here? Okay, John and Sarah, yeah? I don't know, John, yeah, was criticised. And as a result of being criticised when he was young, he defended himself by being a bit of a loner. He pulled away from people, so he's a bit distant, yeah? But he's a nice guy. Sarah, on the other hand, experienced a certain amount of abandonment and lack, and she made up for it by becoming quite aggressive, yeah? So she would be at times aggressive. These two marry. They fall in love. They think they're going to... And what happens is, sooner or later, John starts pulling away from Sarah because he's basically quite a quiet guy. During the honeymoon period, he was all excited, but when he gets married, he starts coming much quieter. Sarah goes, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Yeah, he's pulling away. Now she's insecure about abandonment. Yeah, so she's triggered by that. So what does she do? She starts criticizing him. He says, what? Come on, come in. Don't just spend all this time on your own. John goes, oh my gosh, I'm being criticized. That's my weakness, yeah? So what does he do? Lo and behold, he pulls away more because that's his strategy. That's his safe strategy. So he pulls away. What does Sarah feel? More abandoned. What does she do? Becomes more aggressive. Suddenly, we have two people who are being triggered on an unconscious level. They're not even aware of it, and they're starting to have arguments. But when they meet each other, they had no idea this was going on. And they're both hitting the points that they had where they wanted to get away from. So the good news is, in Judaism we call it tikkun, that marriage has a secret purpose. The secret purpose of marriage is that we fix ourselves, and our partner is there to help us fix ourselves. And this is the idea of Rabbi Tatz. He talks about, I'm sure you've all heard it, the idea that we start on a high, then we go to a struggle, and we rebuild that high through our own efforts. So what we see is that this struggle between Sarah and John is actually meant to be. Now, in psychotherapy, we call it the repetition complex. The repetition complex means that you will, if you've had struggles in the past, you will re-experience them in the present, yeah? And they'll keep coming up until you deal with them. So that's the good news. Good to know, yeah? In other words, we all come into this world on a spiritual level to do a tikkun, yeah? And we've all got these issues underneath that we're not even aware about it. And that's why I named my book Go to Yourself. Because every problem, and especially this issues, is for us to go into ourselves and to bring out greater resources and potential that was there, and actually metakein ourselves. And through that's why John and Sarah are perfect for each other. We're going to see how John and Sarah work it all out. So let's not worry too much about John and Sarah. They're fine a few £100 later. But what we're going to see is... so I like to sort of kind of get onto the idea of what's the kind of solution? What's the solution to this? So what we see with John and Sarah, and often, is we what happens in marriage... No, I've got a joke here. I don't know how many people watch... I've probably destroyed it by introducing it as a joke. Like Michael McIntyre, yeah? But Michael McIntyre classifies... It's a very interesting thing. that they're different. The way people act towards bees, I don't know if you know this one. If you do, please stay with it. There are 3 different types of approaches to bees. There are, okay, we've got some people who know, okay, so I'll aim over here. They are the wafters. Yeah, bee walks, it comes into your sukkah, we'll make it all frum. Your bee comes into your sukkah, sukkahs, you haven't put your trap out, yeah, they're the wafters. It'll go away, it'll go away. Then there are the stay stillers. Don't move, it's gonna go away. And then there's the freaker outers. Ah! Now you can actually change from a freaker outer to a stay stiller, yeah, or vice versa. But we can categorize people. Now you probably never thought about this too much before, right? I haven't either, yeah. But you get everything when you come here, yeah. So there's the stay stillers, there's the freaker outers, and you can classify yourself. I think I'm more like the sort of the stay stillers, yeah. And I got some kids who are like, get it out of here, get it out of here, and then there's people who just sit there. It's going away. Don't move. So, well, if we had more time, we could probably classify everyone here, but this is not really the purpose, yeah? Why did I bring this joke? Not just because I like telling jokes, but I do. Because it's important for us to understand ourselves and to understand our communication styles. We also fall into different styles. There are people that I like to introduce the concept of the hailstones and the tortoise. 2 different types of communication. The hailstones are people, when they get upset, throw hailstones. Criticize. They throw the hailstones. Then there's a tortoise. Yes, dear. They pull into their shell. Anything you say, dear, it'll be okay, dear. But you didn't hear. Now, often what happens with these 2, and I see this very common. You can have 2 tortoises and you can have 2 hailstones as well. But what often happens is you have a tortoise, hailstones going, and it can be either way. One of them's a screamer. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. The hailstone person is okay. Let's. It's okay. There's no problem. We'll work it out. Well, the hailstone feels that they're not getting heard. So you know what they do? They do a very clever thing. I'm not throwing enough hailstones. I've got to throw more hailstones because I'm not being heard. So let's just say a little louder because we're not really being heard now. I'm sorry if I'm waking a baby up. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. It all turns out good in the end. We won't need therapy after this. Okay. So what happens? And then you have the person who's a tortoise pulling away more and more, and suddenly there's this kind of like this big rift. Yeah. Now you can have 2 hailstones, which is pretty difficult. That's why I had this morning, and that's why my head's still reeling. It's like almost a nuclear. My first ever counselling I did at Jewish marriage guidance. It was like nuclear fallout. I like that. Thank you. All right. I'll send that to my wife. Yeah. But you can have 2 you can have 2 tortoises as well. We don't argue. We have been living together 100 years. We have never had an argument in our life. In fact, we don't talk to each other is a different thing. Yeah. But we're the tortoises. So it's kind of fight and flight. Yeah. So I actually have, and I don't think we're going to do this, but I'm going to hand this out to you. This is, you can work out which one you are. Yeah. This is actually, maybe I'll just put it as at the end because I don't really have time to go into all of this. But if you want to work out if you're a tortoise or the hailstones, there's a questionnaire here. I'll leave it on the table. No additional thing. It was actually 10p thing, but I'm not charging for this. Okay, you can take that, take a look at it. You can have some fun, and then you can really have a good argument because you can say, "Now I know. Stop ignoring me." Okay, so So what's the resolution over here? What's the resolution of this issue? Communication. Communication in an effective way. What I do and what this approach emphasizes is when people go into fight or flight, it obviously doesn't work, yeah? But if we can slow things down and create a safe place where people can talk about difficult issues, then we can work towards a resolution and a meeting of both people's needs. So there's what I want to do is do a little bit of, an exercise with this, but let me explain it first, and sort of basic principles first. The first thing is never have an argument or discussion about something that's difficult when you're in a bad mood. Yeah. Now that may sound obvious. Yeah, but it's always good to start with a positive thing. Yeah, like an appreciation or something. If a person is not in the right time, that's not the right time to talk. So I'm going to say about 5 or 6 points. The second point is always talk in terms of I feel, not you are. Now, I'm going to reveal a certain weakness I have. I'm one of these smelly sock guys. I'm one of these guys who tends to leave their smelly socks around, yeah? I have worked on it, I have improved, but I'm still not over it. And it does irritate people, yeah? So a person could say to the smelly sock person, you are a mess, yeah? Leading you is I don't know what you did. You identify that person with their weakness, you threaten them, not a good idea. The better way to do is, I feel upset. You're talking in terms of I, and the way I feel, in my opinion, that when you leave your socks around, that's going to be upsetting. Yeah, it upsets me. It's what I tell myself, my world. Yeah. The other person, we call this person technically the sender, the person who starts the conversation. The other person is the receiver. Now they paraphrase it back, which technically is called mirroring. Before they go, the person goes defensive and goes, I come home and I sweat, and all you can talk about is my socks, and I'm all the appreciation I've done for you. Instead of that, before they come defensive, the other person repeats exactly what they say, and I think this is something which we have in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Rabbis. You've ever read that word? People, and then that is seek to understand before being understood. We can only really have a communication when we get the other person first. Now, it's actually very interesting that this is actually a Torah concept, which is we find the arguments in Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai throughout the Talmud. They used to argue, and the Gemara tells us that Beis Hillel, the students of Hillel, always used to win the arguments in general. Why? The Gemara tells us because they used to repeat the argument of the other person to make sure they've got it before they shared their own. So this is a Gemara, and it's also a psychological tool. So it's called mirroring. So what a person does is they say, and I'll use my example. They say before they go, a person goes into defensive. They go, what I hear you saying is you get upset that I leave my socks around. And then they go, did I get you? This is the American style. You have to use your own word. Did I hear you? Did I get you? So they check with the other person, did I get you? And the other person may say, well, no, actually, you change it slightly or whatever. This is what I'm saying. They'll resend it. Or, alternatively, they say, yes, I got it. And then you can, if you're brave, say, is there more? Because obviously it's not always just the socks. It's the general mess, yeah? It's the mess everywhere, yeah? Now, sometimes it's not good to let yourself into too much. I have to limit it, because otherwise, when I first started, the woman was just like, boom, 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 boom. The guy was wiped out. And I couldn't deal with him. But it was like, and I spoke to my supervisor, and they said, just do it a small at a time. Yeah, limit it. Yeah. There's actually a wonderful thing I learned from Rav Orlowick, and I applied it to this principle. He once had a couples who were discussing about messes, and he asked them. The husband was said, like, every time I come home, I think it was in Israel, it's a tremendous mess. So he asked the woman, the man, who was it? It was the wife. The man was complaining about the wife. She wasn't cleaning up. What is the smallest step that you can know that your husband's making some step forward? And he said, well, why don't you if he puts the cushion on the settee, then I'll know he's starting to try. And believe it or not, I've had people who've arguing about the toilet, how the toilet is left. And I've done exactly the same. We've got it down to the way the towel is left over. But if the towel is left over the thing properly, then we're going to be okay. Yeah. I spent an hour and a half on that one time. So, but there's a lot of wisdom to it because it's a small step. So sometimes we have to do these things in small steps. You're not going to let everything out step by step. So the third thing, maybe third or fourth, if you're counting, I'm not. We're all friends. Is to validate what's being said. Yeah. So it's not good enough just to mirror it back, but you've got to validate it and really empathize. And again, these we're not going to be able to get through all these steps, but if the person says, why here, they've mirrored it, you leave your socks around, it's very, and it's, it's driving me up the wall. The person can say, by validating, can say, it makes sense to me. They don't have to believe, they don't have to agree. They say, it makes sense to me that my leaving socks around irritates you. And I would imagine you're probably feeling frustrated and unappreciated when I do that. Yeah. So there's empathy there. And that's very important because often what the person really wants is more to be understood. And that's the whole book. I'm sure people are familiar with it. Men are from Mars and women from Venus. That men have a tendency, although it could be the other way around, to fix things. And women have a tendency want to be heard. So often just hearing the person gets it. You've got it. The socks are driving me up the wall. That it's already a relief. The last point is then to go backwards and forwards. Every person, then you switch around, the other person speaks, then you switch around again, the other person speaks, until you've got a clear idea of what's being said, and then you look for what we call is a behavioral change request, where the person makes a suggestion. Could you, when you come home, I've got a little bin, put your socks in that bin when you come home? And the person generally says, yes. Yeah, it's amazing. You can have like enormous arguments about these things for years. People are coming, spending an hour and a half. It's all about just making that small step. Yeah, I can do that. Any reply? Yes. If I forget, don't shout. Just remind me nicely. Is that okay? Yes. So we've resolved an issue that potentially could have happened for the rest of their life. And I see people who have been going for 40 years, and they come after 40 years, yeah? And I've got some people who have come as newly married, who've just got married. So it's always good to work these socks issues out early in marriage. Otherwise, you can have 40 years of it. But essentially, what we're doing is we're creating communication, and it's not always so easy. That's why people come to counselling for it, because we're triggering each other. What happens is there's a little boy or little girl in ourselves that when the person says that, they're triggering. So I just want to share this idea. This tie I happen to like a lot. Yeah, actually, Rabbi Danny Kirsch has the same tie. So I've got some rabbinical backing to it. It was £10 in M&S. I'm very fussy with my ties. My wife buys me ties. I don't touch them. I like this tie. Yeah. Now, if I was to come in and something, I would go. Just say I was a person, or a person brought their tie or any clothes, and they go to their spouse. Do you like my new clothing I bought? Do you like my tie? And the person goes, actually, no. And they start crying, yeah, and they start bawling and get angry. And the other person goes, what's going on? What's happening? All I said, you asked me my opinion about my tie or my dress or my shape or whatever it was. Why are you overreacting? What's going on? So in psychotherapy and in general chokhmah, we're hitting an insecurity. We're hitting something which probably happened in the past, and it could well be that when I or a person was growing up, that they were always criticised by their taste in clothes. And they were told, you have no taste in clothes, you always look like such a mess. So when they are hit by that criticism from another person, it's triggering a whole world of the past. So the person has no idea. What happens is, in these arguments, why it's tricky, is you're triggering sometimes it can be almost a nuclear bomb that's going on underneath. My ties are great, and blah, 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 you know. But what's going on? And the person's got no idea what, because this is an issue that is not being spoken about, but it's being hit. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those games where you hit the mines, and then, you know, you can sort of. So what happens is that's why it can be more tricky to do. And that's why sometimes people need a bit of assistance to do it, because, and sometimes what I do is I say, when you're speaking to that person, see the little girl in her that was abandoned, see the little boy there that was, speak to that person, because that's where they're reacting from. Okay, so let's get into the solution. The whole idea of this is to improve the situation. What we're going to do now is to start in a positive way. The first thing to do, one of the ways is to share an appreciation. Yeah. Now, it's more than, the food was nice or the dress is nice, blah, blah. To share something that you appreciate about the other person. So what I would like you to do, I don't think we're going to need to do a role play here, because I think I've explained it now, is if you've got, most people have a spouse here. If they don't, the nearest person to you, I think Rabbi Stepsky has an offer. Yeah, and you got your wife there. Or I think it's 2 men at the back, yeah? I don't know. What we want to do is, what I'd like you to do is one person start and say, one thing I appreciate about you is, yeah, it doesn't have to be the most profound thing, and the other person, but whatever it is, and the other person will mirror it back, and they'll say, what you're saying is you appreciate this about me. Then we'll switch roles. The other person will go, one thing I appreciate you. Now, if you want to do more, it's fine, but I appreciate this. The other person will mirror it back. They'll say, what I hear you saying is this. Did I get it? Yes or no? If you didn't get it, you repeat it. If you did, fine, we're over. Is that clear? Any questions? Very clear. I know we've got a highly intelligent audience here. Only the top people come to Shema Bni. They don't let anybody else in. I know there were thousands of people outside. They said, no, you're not coming in. Yeah? So, okay, I think, are we all partnered? I don't know, I think, sorry? Quick getaway. Okay, there's a lady here. Okay, if we can, okay, I don't know, can we partner, may I walk around and see if there's any people who haven't got, I don't know if this lady has a partner? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So if we can partner up, try this. If there's a free person around, then grab them. Yeah. And okay. So if you'd like to partner, again, one appreciation to put one person starts, one thing I appreciate about you, and then the other person mirrors it back, paraphrases it back. Okay. Are we all right? Okay. Let's have a go. Okay. Then you mirror it back. What I hear you saying is this, yeah? Yeah, I'll take my card. Okay, how are we doing? Are we okay? Okay, we'll have another 20 seconds to finish off if you haven't finished off. You have to swap round. Swap round. Ah, okay. Fine. All right. Okay. All right. If we could bring it together. Okay. Now. All right. Okay. You're free to continue this after the session. Yeah. There's no extra charge. Yeah. And in fact, the people who designed this approach.
I'm still getting my appreciation.
As long as we can all hear. So do you want to just finish off it? Yeah. Okay. All right. So essentially, that's a good way to start. Now, the people who design this approach, actually, they say they do it every night. They give it an appreciation, and it's a wonderful thing to do. This alone is a wonderful practice, and essentially, once when I give this talk, I once showed a little video about it, which we showed on our training program, which is called, I forgot the word. You know when you go to an American car park and you validate, validation, So there's a little video, you can actually look this up, but it's a really very funny little video about validation. And basically, people come validate their car parks in New York. So the person there, he definitely looks Jewish, he's sitting there and he goes, "You are great," as they give him their cards. "You have great cheekbones." And then he goes, and people are sort of suddenly, every person goes, "Lady, you have wisdom." And suddenly what you have is this guy, all these people start coming to validate themselves by him. There's this whole queue of people lining up. And he goes, "You are the best. You help people." Yeah, and then they send the police in. And the police come and go, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on? There's a whole queue." And he goes, then he turns to them and he goes, "You guys are not appreciated for how much you do here." Yeah. He goes, and they go, "Hey, maybe we should bring this over to the boss." So the guy's brought to the boss, and the boss is sitting there. He goes, "You have the strain of the city on you. You are such a man." so then you see him going to Bush and Clinton and what have you, and going, "You got it." And as he said, "Here is a man transforming the world through validation." And it's a very cute thing, but just appreciation alone is a person who learns to appreciate people and say appreciations. I know for myself that I still have I was going through my phone before, because it was overloaded, because it's overloaded, you got no space. But there's two people, I did some talks in Edgware, or two talks recently, and I've got two texts from two people who really appreciated it. This is not an advert. I'm not advertising for the poor, unappreciated psychotherapist here. But I'm telling you a secret, I did not delete those texts, Because even though I'm getting too many texts, because it was precious to me. It was really precious. Somebody said, I came to your talk and I really enjoyed it. And it was because when we feel truly appreciated, those are precious moments. So please continue after the session. There's no we don't charge for appreciation. So, and of course when we do the seminars on this, we go into it in a much deeper way. Okay. The next session, because I'm speaking a lot here, but we want to get to the nitty-gritty. We're not going to be able to do all 5 steps. If there's another opportunity or whatever, there's a demand. There's a lot more to this. As I mentioned, there's that you can get the book as well. There's weekend seminars which people do this. But what I like you to do is share a concern that you have. Now, it doesn't have to be the biggest concern in your world. In fact, it's better it's not. It's not like, we're not having your mother again over. I've had it. It's no more. Yeah, she's not stepping aside here. We're not. Nothing like that. Yeah, just something very, very, very basic. Yeah, like even it could be something which you felt, I had this experience. I'd like to share with you. A little frustration or concern you have. Yeah, the children have to go out. And I'm not sure if we're going to babysit or whatever it is. Yeah. I'd like you to think of one concern. One of each couple think of one concern, and they are going to be the sender. Yeah, the other person they're going to share it succinctly. again, if we just say a person says, I'm a little bit worried because we haven't planned our summer holiday yet, and it's coming soon, and I don't know what's going on. So the other person, who will be it's called the receiver, will mirror it back. They're saying, what you are saying, what I hear you saying is you're a little concerned we haven't planned our summer holiday yet because the summer's coming. Did I get you? Yes. If it's yes, then you can switch around. Or if you're really brave, you can say, is there more? Yeah. You can try and is there more? Then the person will say, yes, I'm also a little bit worried that it's going to be very expensive, so maybe we should stay in England or what have you and not go abroad. Okay. Then you mirror that back. Actually, maybe let's not do that, is there more, because we don't really have time for it. Just one thing. Then the other person mirrors it back, and then they empathize with it. They say, well, I would imagine you're feeling a bit frustrated or a bit worried about that, and it's a concern because we haven't planned it. Did I get you? And the other person says yes. Then they have an opportunity setting back. They'll say, well, my feeling is, it's a good point you've made. It's all right. We've got 2 months. We should be able to handle it. And then they send it back. Yeah, that's it. Then we switch around if we've got enough time. We try it the other way around. Yeah, this is what we call mirroring. Yeah, so it's everyone got. Oh, I've got sheets over here. If you get stuck, let's see. I think this may confuse you more than it will help you here. So. If you have a problem, is that clear? Is there any questions? Should I go through it again? One person, starts. They're the sender. They share a concern. The other person mirrors it back. They paraphrase it. What I hear you saying is this. Then they validate it and empathize with it. This is what I hear you. This is what I think you're saying. This is what I think you're feeling. It makes sense to me. Yeah. Then they answer back. They say, this is what I think about it. And the other person mirrors that back. Is that okay? Is that clear? Any problems? I'm here. I'm not going away. Let's have a go at this. Okay? If you like to join up. This lady, I think you're...
I'm doing my text.
No. I'm going to give you the rabbits. Yeah? Okay, Rabbi, you can come. Yeah, and it's very important people get an experience. I'll give you a private session, you two. Yeah. Very expensive. Okay, all right. Could you? I'm sorry. Your name is Melanie. Could you join up with the rebels over here, because it's quite important that people get experience. Okay, if you'd like to go. Yeah, I'm around if there's any questions. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention. Okay. All right, we're gonna come back. Okay. Fine. Okay, so maybe just any feedback from that exercise. How did people find it? This lady, you look like you're giving me some positive feedback, but I picked on you. How was that?
Yeah, it was helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other feedback? Okay. All right. We'll take the helpful. Yeah. But I'd like to suggest that this is a very powerful tool. Yeah. And one of the key frustrations in communication is not being heard. Now, it doesn't mean you've solved everything. When the other person gets it, you feel that's already, half of the issue. What we do is that we move on from there to looking for potential solutions where both people clarify the issues and they work out a joint solution. We don't have time, unfortunately, for that. But you may be worrying about Sarah and John, who we left in a bad state a while back, thinking they married the wrong person. Yeah. The truth is, they married the perfect person. The perfect person is the person who's going to trigger you up the wall. That is the perfect person for you, right? And when you realize, and if you could, again, if it's another exercise, you realize that person has exactly the trait which you want to get away from, it's even better, yeah? Because essentially you've unconsciously chosen that person to help you resolve it. So how did John and Sarah do it? Well, they talk. And John realizes that Sarah feels a bit abandoned, because she shares it with him. And he empathizes with her. And then Sarah realizes, when they talk, that John's a bit of a loner. He's not doing it because he wants to pull away from her. He's just a person who needs more space. But he's triggering her insecurities, and then she realizes when she criticizes him, it's just pushing him away. So what do they learn to do? They learn to communicate in an open way to meet each other's needs. So John, who needs some space, requests when he comes home, if he has half an hour, to relax and go on the computer, whatever he wants to do the gardening. In the old days, we used the gardening. Now we just go on the computer, nobody else does the gardening. And but what are Sarah's needs? Sarah says, well, I feel we're not spending enough time together. So she requests, well, let's have half an hour or a night to get together, over the meal to chat. So then they are not triggering each other, and they're meeting each other's needs. John, who needs some space, gets his space. Sarah, who needs that attention, gets her attention. But what's even deeper and more profound is that they have to overcome a natural resistance in their nature. John gradually has to overcome his nature to be a complete loner. Sarah has to overcome her difficulty with being alone. So she's not feeling abandoned. So what they're doing on a deeper level is they're fixing their underlying difficulty, where John starts to come out of himself more, and Sarah starts to overcome her fear of abandonment, because she realizes it's not really true. He's not abandoning her. And she overcomes that issue that was bothering her all along, that she's sensitive to. So essentially what they do is that there's a tikkun, and then they create a sense of love and connection, which brings love, and then they appreciate each other's virtues even the more so, because they're both stretching out of their comfort zones to meet the needs of each other. And that's where we started, that love is about giving. And when we see the other person's needs and we stretch out of our own difficulties, then we love. Yeah? And that can create an upward spiral. Instead of a negative spiral, we create an upward spiral where both are looking. And there's a beautiful story that Rabbi Weinberg tells. Maybe we'll finish on this if there's any questions. And he said that there's a story, and the truth is I think the story may not even be true, but it's a beautiful story anyway. Why was the temple in Jerusalem built in the place where it is? So there's a story that goes that there were two brothers. I don't know if you've heard the story, but it's a beautiful story anyway. That there were two brothers who had a father who passed away. The two brothers inherited. One had a family, one didn't have a family. They split the land 50-50. In the middle of the night, the one brother who didn't have a family felt bad for his other brother, took some wheat, chucked it over and said, look, my brother's got such a big family, he needs more wheat than me. The other brother, who had a big family, felt sorry for his other brother. Why? Because he thought, all he's got is his wheat. Oh, let me give him some more wheat. So in the middle of the night, they would throw the wheat over the fence. This went on for years. One night, they get up in the middle of the night, as they did, and somehow they always had the same amount of wheat in the end. They always had the same wheat, but they didn't really realise. They see each other approaching each other. And then they realise for all those years that they were getting up and caring for each other. And it says they threw down their hay, and they hugged and they kissed and they cried. And God, looking down on this, said, where there's love like this is where I want my temple to exist. This is where my Shekhinah, my presence, to be. The essence of it is not only when we care for another person do we create a sense of love and connection, but we also bring holiness into our life. And it says the Shekhinah, the space between people, is where God's presence dwells. and Hashem also becomes our friend, as it were. So I think, just to summarize what we've sort of covered tonight, is the idea that how important communication can be, the difficulty of bad communication, the tools for some good communication, appreciation, the mirroring, the validation, the empathy, and ultimately the clarification. So two people can understand each other, can overcome it, and ultimately transform their relationship to a very warm and deep, loving relationship. If there are any questions, I know people it's Sunday night, I've been talking, I'll probably be asleep if I wasn't talking myself. Yeah. If there's any questions, I'm quite happy to take any questions here, or I'll be getting my supper over here as we do dessert. Maybe, if there's any questions, okay. Okay, I'm going to be around here. Sometimes people are interested in speaking to me outside of this setting. I'll stick some cards out. You can email me, you can call me, whatever. My books I'm going to put out, I'm not pushing them, but it is a great book. Yeah. Pleasure to meet you all. The books are £20. Yeah. They're here, and if you have any questions or whatever, I'd just like to. Pleasure to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Aryeh. Thank you for an amazing presentation. Shkoyach. Won't tell anyone else about the socks. But amazing, very clear. And when it's Hashem, we'll put in the strategies into action. Once again, thank you to Paul and Danielle who are around for opening a home. There's still some more food left, so please help yourself. Dessert's going to come out now as well. Aryeh's around for questions. There is somebody I wanted to introduce you to, and that is Mrs. Melanie Calvert. Some of you may know Melanie. Melanie's just joined the Shema Bni team. Lisanne is moved on to do other great things. She's busy with her work at Padder's house, kindergarten. So Melanie's taking over doing the website and our Facebooking. So behind you see Shema Bni Facebook. If you're on the Facebook, please have a look at the Facebook page. It's Melanie, it's not me. And one of the things Melanie's initiated is an Ask the Rabbi question. People have got questions. You can take your theme. Last week was Kashrus. This week is?
I'm going to take suggestions from people.
Oh, please take suggestions. And it's like a discussion if people want. I'm answering the questions. So Melanie, just put them down. So please take use of look at the Facebook and the website. It's Melanie. And of course, thank you to Avinash, our great video man. Available for weddings, bar mitzvahs, and circumcision, bris milahs, whatever you want, shiurim. Great guy. He does websites, by the way. He's doing behind our fantastic website. That's the man. Yes, that's Avi. So if anyone needs any help with their website, want to build a website, have a look at mine. For starters, there's lots of other things that Avi's been doing as well. So thank you, Avinash, and everyone, please enjoy your dessert. If there's a minyan. At 10 o'clock, we'll make a menu for Maris before there's one available. If there's a menu, we'll do one. Others, we won't. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And have a pleasant evening, and a great week ahead. Shvat tov, good tov.